Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 ways to live more authentically. Now, some of these are just tips to help get you going, and some of them are ways to just keep yourself on that path despite what the world throws at you. Now, if you haven't been here before, this is my YouTube channel, Upcycled Adulting, and I am here to help you upcycle your real life into your best life. My name is Cassie Feld, and I have to tell you that I struggled a lot with living authentically. I didn't know anybody who was doing it. It was actually a very high expectation in my family of origin, even in my friend group, to not do this, to mask and to just kind of follow along and to be like everyone else and to blend in. And definitely to play really small. And so it was really complicated for me to be able to live and operate in my life in a way that felt authentic and not betraying to myself. Now, don't forget to subscribe because I'm going to be talking about authenticity and relationships in my next video. And I really want to dig in here to what you show who and how much and how to show up in relationships authentically without betraying yourself, but also without feeling like you're being more vulnerable than is safe for you. So let's get started with these 7 tips to help you live your life more authentically. Now, number one, y'all, listen, is find yourself. In order to show up authentically, you actually have to know who you authentically are. And this sounds a lot easier, maybe harder to you than it really is. This can be a little bit complicated because, as I just told you, I struggle to live authentically because I came from a family where everyone needs to be the same. And in that circumstance, you don't have a lot of opportunity to do some self exploration and to really know who you are. In addition, as a woman, I have always felt like society puts some really stringent and harsh requirements on what a woman should be or needs to be or has to be. I'm a Gen Xer. I always hope that it's getting better, but I always feel like it's not. But understanding how those pressures around you have shaped you can really help you with your journey of self discovery. If you're interested more in that, I do have a video and a whole series about how to find yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, all that good stuff. So just make sure you check out my channel. Number two is to discover your why. Understand why this is actually important to you. It can be really hard to live authentically, especially when you're first doing it. You can be navigating some challenging feedback, and you can feel like maybe it would just be easier to mask back up and go back out there that way. Understanding why this matters to you, what this is doing for you, why is this important to you, why do you even care about this, can really help you stay on track. Just like with any goal we're trying to accomplish in our lives, understanding and deeply connecting to your why makes a huge difference. Number three is practice positive affirmations. Okay. Spending a little bit of time expressing gratitude toward yourself, expressing positive feedback towards yourself, embracing your own uniqueness can make a massive difference. It can really help you show up in a more confident way. It can help you let that authenticity shine without a lot of the second guessing. And it can also help you not take it personally when other people feel uncomfortable with your authenticity, right? When things are kind of changing in your relationships, things like that. Understanding that affirming yourself, accepting yourself is absolutely foundational to living authentically matters. When you are alone with you, are you true to you? Do you support you? Do you affirm you? Right? Those things matter in how we present and show up in our lives and in the world around us. Number four is set boundaries and say no. I know that this can be really hard, but every time that we say yes to something that we don't mean yes to, we are betraying ourselves on some level and it is creating an issue. Now, listen, this doesn't mean you only do things that you are super excited to do because sometimes you'll say yes to things because you authentically want to help that person. You authentically want to grow that relationship, or you want to commit to that thing, even though it's hard or challenging, or maybe you're like, oh, I'd like to sleep in on Sunday, but, right? Authentically, I know that this matters to me. I'm not saying just start saying no to everything. What I'm saying is be selective, set boundaries about what you let into your life and what you don't. And this doesn't just include people and making commitments with your time. This also includes your consumption. Okay. Just say no to the influencer on Instagram who, every time you're exposed to them, you feel like you need to change your identity in some way. You feel like you are supposed to love this. You feel like you're supposed to be this. Stop consuming that. Stop consuming things that are telling you that it's more important to show up in the mask. It's more important to show up as fake you than it is to be true to real you. Stop consuming things that cause you to feel like you are less than or you are doing it wrong, because those things will drastically influence what you feel the outside world will accept. And I have to tell you this, it's a small, small percentage. Okay. In reality, the outside world doesn't only accept authentic you if authentic you is a great housekeeper. All right. That's not real. Maybe authentic you is kind of messy. That's okay. Maybe authentic you wants to work on that. That's okay. The things that are authentically who you are who you are. I know that I am a person who deeply struggles with executive function. I know that I am a person who struggles with anxiety. Those things are really true about me. That's part of who I authentically am, right? And it is. And watching or consuming content that's constantly telling me that that's wrong or bad is problematic for me. Now, watching content that is telling me how to grow in those ways, how to show up better for myself in those ways, that's encouraging. So even a little shift in what you're receiving can make a really, really big difference. At the core of who I am, I'm big, big hearted. I've always had this huge heart. And I know that because of that, I am very sensitive to what I'm consuming. I know that it can really weigh on me. I know that it can really impact me. Right. And so I also know that it's important for me to consume things that support who I am. Okay. I'm big, I'm full of life, I'm big hearted, and I need to consume things that tell me that that's okay. Right. I don't need to consume things that tell me that as a woman, I belong in a little box over here on a shelf looking pretty in a size 4. That is not good for me. Right. That becomes very distracting for my authentic self. Number 4 is to create mindful connections. And again, that means mindful connections with what you're consuming, and it means mindful connections with other people. It doesn't need to be 5 people you want to be like or 5 people who are like you. Just being around other people who are showing up authentically, who are comfortable with themselves, who don't feel like they have to get sucked in to the expectations can be really, really beneficial, right? A lot of times when we think about the 5 people we want to be around who will reflect who we want to be as future people, we actually forget this key component, which is the 5 people I want to be around aren't just ambitious. They're not just healthy because I pursue health goals. They're authentic and true to themselves. They show up for themselves. That matters a lot to me. That probably matters more than anything else. Even if you don't have the same health goals I do, showing up as your authentic self, showing up for yourself gives me the support that I need and the space that I need to be like, that is normal. That is the thing. That's the thing I want to do. And even if my authentic self is different from your authentic self, the thing we have in common is we're both living authentically. Create mindful connections with people and things and content that supports you in your journey to living authentically. to showing up authentically, to greater self discovery and personal growth, right? Because that's what matters. Number six, you've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. It is included in so much of my content. And I know y'all don't like number six, okay? But let me tell you, number seven is a doozy. So, number six is meditation. Meditation really gives you the opportunity to self focus. Now, alternatively to meditation, for this particular process, you could also journal and spend some time alone. And I mean distraction free. Part of the issue with managing living authentically is we're not even aware of how much we're consuming, right? One time I was listening to the radio. I love music. I was singing a song and I was actually in this space where I was thinking, and the lyrics to the song were really contradictory to who I am and what I want in my life. And here I am saying this over and over again. The only way I have this song memorized is because I have created connection with it. I have said yes to the consumption of these lyrics, right? Some part of me is interacting with this. So taking the time to meditate, taking the time to be alone, taking the time to journal alone, to take out those distractions gives you a space to really dig into yourself. It also helps create more awareness of these sneaky things that are coming in, right? Like the song lyrics, because you actually start to feel a connection to your intuition, to your deeper self. And I remember I was driving in the car listening, singing the song, and there was just a feeling in my gut like, that's not right. That's not a match. That way, that doesn't fit. Okay. That doesn't fit. And I still remember to this day what the song is, but I will not dig into there's a lot of controversy around the artist. But it was really shocking to me how much this was impacting me and how much I actually not only was indoctrinated in these lyrics, but that I really believed that there was a part of me that felt that believing that was hurtful to me and impacting the way I showed up. So be mindful of spending time alone in meditation, journaling, distraction free, and just getting into a space with you, with yourself. Number seven is possibly the hardest one of all, especially for those of us who are people pleasers or recovering people pleasers. For those of us who really have been taught to be good girls, to be everybody's friend, to be liked by everyone. For those of us who have been taught that our own confidence or self worth is based on what other people think of us, number seven is the hardest one of all. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about number seven. Number seven is embrace the hate. Now, by that, I do not mean set yourself up in situations where you're being emotionally harmed or mentally harmed, where people are saying unkind things to you or being cruel to you, where you are actually experiencing negative, nasty, hostile feedback. That is not what I mean. So, for those of you who are like, whoa, I don't want to do that, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is, come to a space within yourself where you can make peace with the idea that not everyone will like you. If you show up authentically, there will be people who don't like you. A lot of times they won't like you because they are uncomfortable with you doing something that they themselves cannot do or will not do or just don't want to do. Okay. A lot of times when people who live really authentically show up in spaces with people who don't, the people who don't feel very conflicted. They feel convicted. They feel like you being so authentic is like mockery or pointing out or poking at that sore spot in them where they don't feel confident in their own identity and they are ruffled by it. That's their problem. Understanding that other people's stuff, other people's ideas about your authentic self, other people, that's their stuff. That's not yours. It's not yours to handle. It's not yours to navigate. It's not yours to fix. Okay. I don't know how many of you are like me and you experience that thing where if you feel like somebody else is uncomfortable or you feel like somebody else is angry or somebody else is upset, you feel deeply like you need to fix it. and it bothers you. Even if it's not about you, it bothers you, right? So let alone feeling like I am making this person uncomfortable. Me showing up authentically, me showing up here in a way that honors me, makes this other person uncomfortable. It's easy to slip into a space of being like, I shouldn't do that. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I want to make them feel better. I'm going to apologize. Obviously, the way that I am is really not okay. I need to get smaller again. I need to get back in the box. Okay. And I think that there's this thing people say, and I've said it for years, and I have put up post-it notes all over my house to remind me of it, especially before events and things like that, that I know are going to potentially engage this with me. And what I say is two things. One, is this yours? No, you are not. You showing up as you is not making anybody else feel anything. You are not making them feel anything. That's in them. That's not about you. Okay. So it is not yours. It's not yours to handle. The second thing I like to remind myself of is if I am too much, go find less. There's less out there everywhere. I just want you to know less is in abundance. There's lots of less. There's lots of people playing small. There's lots of people not showing up as who they are. There's lots of people that are in the box, especially women. Okay. If you need a woman to play small, to get in the box, to be nice, to do the woman things, okay, find one. I'm not that woman. There are lots of them. There's one of me. There are a lot of people who are not living authentically. There are a lot of people who will toe your line. So you have every opportunity to go find those people. They're all around you. Find them. Feel free. Okay. My authentic self is a unique gift. I am one of a kind and proud of it. Proud of it. Not going to change that. If you don't like that, okay, less is a dime a dozen. I am a precious jewel. It's fine. You want gravel, I'm a diamond. Go get your gravel. It's okay with me. Understanding that if I'm showing up authentically, there will be people who are not going to be comfortable with that. There will be people who don't like me. There will be other authentic people in the world who just look at me and go, you're just not my cup of tea. Right. And what I have found is when you are around other people who are living authentically and you're not their cup of tea, listen, they're not mean about it. Nobody's mean about it. You just don't have a lot in common. My authentic self and your authentic self are very different. I so support your authenticity, but we don't have a lot to talk about over a cup of coffee. That's all. Maybe we don't see the world the same. Maybe we have different life purposes and goals and passions. Maybe we just have different lifestyles. That's okay. You do you. The thing is, if you live authentically, someone won't be comfortable with it. Someone won't like it. Someone will not want you to be that way. Someone will reject it. Okay. You won't be somebody's cup of tea. And that's okay. Reframing this to a place where that's your goal is very helpful. And that's what I mean by embrace the hate. What I did early on in this journey is I created a goal for myself that I was going to be very, very authentic. And that because I was so authentic, okay, so true to myself, that there would be people who just wouldn't care for me. And that's how I would know I was doing it. Because when I was showing up the way everybody wanted me to show up and I wasn't living authentically, everybody liked me. Everyone liked me because I was a chameleon. I could be exactly what everybody wanted me to be. But when I started showing up as who I really am, okay, showing people the parts of me that I need to be authentic, to be true to myself, right? Not denying myself, not engaging in things that I didn't want to engage in anymore, right? One of the first things that happened when I started showing up more authentically is I really didn't care for gossip. And I really struggled with judging other people. Like I had a lot of issues around that and I felt really conflicted about it. And so when people would talk to me about other people, I would find myself a lot of times saying, well, consider the other person's perspective or side of this, or maybe they didn't mean anything by it, right? Then, and that, by the way, would make people really uncomfortable and unhappy. And then I started just being like, I don't want to talk about this, right? I don't want to talk about this. My unwillingness to gossip, because that's not authentically part of who I am and I'm not comfortable with it, makes a lot of people uncomfortable. That's all. That was like the first thing that people were like, I really don't like that. I really don't like that when I am complaining to you and trying to gossip about something, you are trying to find you're trying to empathize with the other person. You're empathizing with me and you're empathizing with them. You're not all on my side. You're not saying that it was right of me to do that mean thing to that person or that it's right of me to gossip and talk nasty about that person. Now, you're not excusing it. And I don't like that. Again, there are hundreds of people you could talk to who will totally join in on your woe is me. Everybody's mean to me. That person's awful. I hate them. Train. I'm not that person. That's all. Just not me. And so finding that people were like, you're not really my cup of tea because you're so true to who you are and we don't have a lot in common, or you don't want to engage in these things anymore. And I do. That was a really shining example to me that I was being authentically me. And so I counted it as a win. Instead of being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so upset. What if they're mad at me? What if they don't like me? What if they don't want to be in a relationship with me? What if they want to reject me? What if they start gossiping about me now?" Instead of doing all of that, I was like, "Look at me go. I am being authentically me." Right? Having people have feelings about me, even if those feelings were not the most positive, right? Having people be like, you're not my cup of tea, was to me like seeing a 10-pound weight loss on the scale for a person who's trying to lose weight. That was the goal. That was actually the goal. Okay. Or seeing a 10-pound weight gain for a person who's trying to gain weight. That's a thing too. Okay. And a lot of times we think, oh, then that's always bad. Gaining weight is always bad. Okay. Well, I have two friends who intentionally gained weight because they were competing in physique competitions. Females, women. I have more men who I know who've done it, but women, two women who've done it. So my point is, it's not bad. Just reframe it. Okay. Think of it differently. If you're showing up authentically, there will be some people who don't like you. That's all. And that's a good thing because that's proof that you're doing the work. Now, that's number 7 for a reason. The rest of these are not necessarily in order, but number 1 and number 7, they are. Because if you are not really clear on your why, you don't know who you are, you aren't practicing positive affirmations, you're not setting boundaries about your consumption, you're not creating mindful connections, and you're not meditating or spending time alone, then another person not liking you or another person having negative feedback or something to say or distancing themselves, it's going to be potentially too much of a blow. Okay. So reinforce all the other things first. Get really grounded in who you are first. Okay. This isn't like I wake up one day, I'm like, this is authentically who I am. And then I go out and show everybody in the world that on day 1. Right. It's a process. It's a journey. So be patient with that process. And again, do not forget to subscribe and look for my video about relationships and authenticity, because I'm going to really dig into, as you're in the process of discovering your authentic self, as you're showing up as your authentic self, how do you navigate what feels safe for you authentically, right? How do you do that without holding back parts of yourself because of fear of judgment? How do you honor and be true to yourself in a space that you want to be in, that you're choosing to be in, where you need to be mindful of how much you're showing to the people there? Because this is a real thing. This is especially true in our workplace, in our family of origin, where we want to maintain those relationships, or we need to at work. But we also know that there's a level here of what I should be showing, right? or what is appropriate to show or safe to show in this environment. And we want to do that without betraying ourselves, but also be protective of ourselves. So I'm going to talk about that next. All right. Remember that you are amazing and you absolutely deserve to live the life that you have been dreaming about. Bye, everyone.